we do have Howard P. Lesnik, Esquire, attorney at law, on the line to just bring us up to speed a little bit, give us some knowledge on arbitration and what could come from it. Howard, are you there? Good morning, and thank you for for coming on the program and just giving us a little bit of education here to all these fight fans.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm here. How are you?
We are good.
We're good, Howard. Good morning.
Good. Thanks for introducing me, Nestor. I'm a certified trial attorney in New Jersey, and I handle criminal and civil cases. In New Jersey, civil cases have mandatory court-ordered arbitration. Basically, arbitration is when parties want to enter negotiations to try to persuade the other side to come to terms. However, if two sides cannot come to terms, arbitration is when a third party is brought on to arbitrate the case. Often, this is done by a respected and retired judge. Basically, arbitration is a negotiation process when there are numbers of issues that need to be settled. It allows both sides to present in front of the neutral, impartial observer their side of the case. The reason a retired judge or a neutral observer is used in most arbitration cases because they have the experience, because they've presided over thousands of trials and understand the issues, depending on the type of law. In this case, a contract issue that would be resolved. So arbitration clauses are common in contracts. So when contracts are breached, the other parties can invoke the arbitration clause or file for arbitration. This allows the parties to resolve their disputes without having lengthy and expensive litigation and attorney's fees, such as hiring an attorney like myself. Arbitration could be non-binding, which means the side that's unhappy with the judge's decision can reject it. If the arbitration is binding, then the arbitrator's decision is final, and both parties have to live or file a formal lawsuit to go forward. I hope that helps, guys.
So essentially, the judge serves as a mediator of sorts.
Yeah, so both parties can agree to select a judge. Usually, it doesn't have to be a judge, but judges are obviously the people who have the most experience in resolving issues, and they've seen these issues come up thousands of times in their courtrooms, so they know how juries feel about resolving these issues. They also can identify the strength in one party's case.
So now, Howard, the situation at hand is the article that I sent you from Sports Illustrated. Did you have an opportunity to read it?
I did, yes.
So in that situation, if one of those parties doesn't want to fight, will they settle financially? Or, I mean, what exactly can either fighter do in this situation?
So it depends what's in the contract. Obviously, I'd have to see the contract. But if the contract does have an arbitration clause, that means any disputes can be resolved, including financial terms, can be resolved in the arbitration, if that's in the contract.
Now, according to Tyson Fury, he says because of what Wilder has accused him of with his allegations, he will no longer fight him. But because there's a contract, I mean, does he have the right not to fight and then I guess legally pay, or money isn't involved until you actually file a lawsuit?
Well, you could always settle and pay him off without filing a lawsuit but if there's an arbitration clause and the arbitration says the arbitrator decides whether to pay one party for breaching the contract and that clause is binding, then if that's in the contract, then they have to live with what they both agreed to when they signed the contract. If they're arguing that the contract is not valid because of what happened, then then the arbitration clause would be not valid because they would say the arbitration clause is not valid because once the contract's breached, the arbitration clause doesn't apply anymore. Then they can try to file for arbitration. If the arbitrator won't hear it, then you'd have to file a formal litigation in court and have to go through the change of the long process of filing a legal action.
Now, there's some rumors surrounding this situation that the contract for the fight expired due to obviously they were not able to stage it because of COVID. You know, most of the world was shut down. We couldn't have fans in attendance. Stadiums weren't even accepting events. Would that isn't that what is that, like a natural cause clause or the God clause? Is there something called? I know I'm really messing up what's probably the legal term, but in contracts, isn't there like a backup for situations like COVID?
Yes, and if there's a condition that makes it impossible for one or both parties to perform, sometimes that's included in the contract as well. If it's not included in the contract, then one side can say, well, I had nothing to do with it, and because it's some circumstances out of my control, you have no right to enforce the contract because it's out of my control. And that's an argument that one side can make before the arbitrator, and then ultimately the arbitrator will decide on it, and if there's no arbitration clause, they're going to have to wait years to go through litigation before this gets to a jury.
So I'm seeing people in our live chat say it's something like a pandemic clause. Does that sound right?
Yeah, sure. Again, if there's anything, whether there was an earthquake on the morning of the fight, they wouldn't have been able to fight because of that natural condition, and it would have been either party's fault. Neither party would have breached the contract based upon that natural disaster. You're absolutely right.
Now, Howard, let me ask you some regular questions here. How much of a casual are you? Did you know of this situation before I sent you the article, or have you been following it and you are a boxing fan?
I did watch the fight in February, but I haven't been following it that much.
So you don't know that Deontay Wilder is accusing Tyson Fury of cheating?
Not until I saw the article, correct.
Oh, wow. Well, Howard, man, like I said, I promise it wouldn't be long. I want to thank you, obviously, for coming on and explaining all this to us. We do appreciate it. Please give anybody and everybody, if you have any social media or website or however they can acquire your services, please do give out that information, and thank you once again.
Thank you. My website is lesniklaw.com. Feel free to click and check out my reviews, and email me if you have any questions. Howard@lesniklaw.com. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right,
There you
thank
have
you
it,
very
ladies
much.
and gentlemen.